Everyone. This is Mornings with Sacred Silence, which means that we have a little bit of a longer teaching in the beginning, and we actually will go until 8:30 this morning. So I'd just like to welcome you, and I'd like to tell us all that for those of us who are spiritual descendants of Abraham, this is a particularly spiritual time because we have coinciding the observance of the Passover and Easter, which are always linked in time. But we also have at this time the observance of Ramadan, which is on a lunar calendar. So it moves around at a different speed from those of us who are on the solar calendar. And so often Ramadan does not coincide with Passover and Easter. Actually, the Jewish calendar also is related to the lunar calendar, but there's built in it a correction so that Passover and Easter always come at the same time as they did historically. So anyway, our entire religious tradition would be completely different if it were not for an act of radical welcome. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, as we know them today, all spring from a single seed planted long ago near Hebron in Judea in the heat of the midday sun. There, Abraham sat in front of his tent. We can even imagine him dozing, for he was certainly not a young man, when he looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. Immediately he ran to them and, bowing to the ground, begged them to stay a while, offering the shade of the tree, water to wash their feet, and a little bread to refresh themselves. They agreed. Now, as the story continues, Abraham's wife Sarah comes into the picture. She baked fresh loaves of bread. Abraham chose a fine and tender calf and took it to the servant to prepare. Abraham himself found cream and milk, and when the bread and calf were ready, he took all of these to the 3 guests and stood nearby where they ate. It seems this is the kind of thing we would do for family or close friends. It seems pretty excessive for strangers who show up unexpectedly during nap time. Adding to the puzzle of Abraham's welcome is the potential lethality of strangers in this culture. Not members of his ethnic nor religious group, they were not bound by local laws and could strike with impunity. Yet Abraham ran to them to greet them and bowed to the ground, presenting himself as if they were kings. "I beg you," he said, "kindly do not pass your servant by." And as it turned out, here he met God. Sacred welcoming, where we can meet God, is an inner and an outer practice. It includes welcoming and responding to the needs of others, as well as welcoming our own inner experiences. A strong river of service runs through the religious traditions that emerged from Abraham's encounter that day. Service in daily life is recognized as a central obligation for all those who keep these religious traditions. Jews have an obligation to help the poor and needy as holy law. Muslims recognize almsgiving as the 4th pillar of Islam, and Christians identify service as the basis on which they will be finally judged. In his recent book, Revelations of the Aramaic Jesus, Neil Douglas Klotz notes that in the languages of the Middle East, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic, holy implies a sort of otherness, like a light illuminating an area around it, or a seed unfolding into a plant. What is holy for us is what we leave space for in our lives, what we value and spend most of our time on. In service, we make room for the needs of others, value them, and spend time on them, even when it is not easy to honestly discern what is the right thing to do, or even if we know how to do them well. In the introduction of this wonderful book, The Tent of Abraham, stories of hope and peace for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Here it is. This book follows the Abraham story through the three traditions, the Abrahamic traditions. And in the introduction, we read, "Our very survival as a species depends upon our returning to the spirit of Abraham and going out to meet the other, not in a grudging spirit, but with the wholehearted joy, trust, and generosity that caused Abraham to fall on his face before the strangers at Mamre and to meet God." In this very challenging poem by Robin White, we are invited to play a little game, she says. Go to a place where you will be surrounded by strangers, people who are not in your tribe. Walmart, an airport, or a busy restaurant will do. You get the idea. You have one purpose for being there, and it is this: silently to say each person you pass by, say to them, "I need you," and walk on. One after another, excluding no one, move among the anonymous until you grasp the reality that you need everyone, everywhere. You may need to repeat this game often if it does not come naturally to you already, this needing of strangers. You have all the time you need. So now let's take a look at the other side of welcoming. Welcoming our inner experience, which I think we are more familiar with in terms of welcoming practices associated with centering prayer or other silent prayer traditions. So if you can, well, I was going to ask a question about who has experience with welcoming prayer as it's taught by contemplative outreach, but I think I will just continue and assume that many of us are at least somewhat familiar with it. So in her wonderful book, Centering Prayer and Inner Awakening, Cynthia Bourgeault describes two aspects of welcoming based on welcoming prayer. First, this prayer is a way to manage and move beyond the ingrained habits of our false self-system, the ways we have developed over the years of managing our mostly unconscious programs from happiness based on innate needs for survival, security, esteem and affection, and power and control. If I can share my screen, I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see if I can make this big. Can you see this now? This, Can somebody nod or let me know that you can see? Okay, thank you. All right. This is, you'll recognize it from Cynthia Bourgeau's book. And if we want to go over this in detail, that's for another day. But basically, it shows us how the false self system works. We have these emotional programs for happiness that are about safety, security, esteem, affection, and power and control. And these are all innate, necessary needs that we come into the world with. As human beings, we come into the world with these needs, but it is our life experience that creates in us the ideas of what we have to do and what we need to, and how we can maintain our safety, security, power, control, and esteem and affection. So it goes around in a circle, mostly unconscious, till we get to the things that we like, and then a desire, and then all of a sudden it kind of explodes in response to a trigger that happens, and these happen all the days in our life, and we get frustrated. But here's the point where we get out of the cycle. We have a choice to do something different, and welcoming prayer is one of the processes that we have that we can get out of this endless cycle of triggers, frustration, and whatever our habits of dealing with the frustration are. So when you begin to practicing welcoming prayer, you need to realize that it may take you a while to understand that it's really making a difference, and that others may notice the difference in you before you really notice them in yourselves. But as we develop some proficiency in managing our thoughts and emotions, by a daily practice or practice of silent prayer and welcoming practice, we come to a point in spiritual development when welcoming becomes less a tool for managing unruly emotions and more a powerful tool for inner awakening. Cynthia Bourgeau describes it as one of the strongest practices I have ever encountered for a rapid increase in both the quality and quantity of awakened consciousness. These practices build a bridge between ordinary awareness and spiritual awareness, and bestow the gift of stepping into a more spacious inner place where habitual mental and emotional practices don't keep playing over and over, don't keep us from recognizing the divine potential in every moment, in every challenge that we meet. So let's take a few minutes to practice together the welcoming prayer as it is taught by Thomas, by Contemplative Outreach. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, if you would like to participate in this experiment, to pick a situation in your life that you find frustrating or a sort of a conundrum. And then we'll go through together the steps of focusing, welcoming, and letting go. And I recommend that you choose something that's kind of moderate for this exercise, because we don't have a lot of time to as if for the work that you might do if you were working with a really serious problem. So in this first step, focus and sink in, we feel the upset as a sensation in the body. Whether your experience is physical pain, an emotional upset, or mental distress, locate its presence in your body and attend to where and how your body is responding. Don't try to change anything, just stay present. And now we'll welcome it. Most of us have spent our lives trying to avoid or to get rid of unpleasant feelings, emotions, and thoughts. Usually this means trying to fix something ourselves or someone else or some situation. But what we're doing in welcoming is amazingly different to these habitual habits as we gather our intention to remain present to the current experience. Now, immersed in the whole difficult experience, quietly and gently begin to welcome it. You may give it a name. Welcome, welcome pain, welcome anger, welcome sadness, and gently repeat, welcome, welcome, welcome. Importantly, you are not welcoming terrible events. You're not welcoming the occurrence that triggered your difficult experience. You're welcoming your reaction to it in this moment. You can use the simple words that Mary Mrzowski suggested, addressing each of the programs for happiness. I let go my desire for security and survival. I let go my desire for esteem and affection. I let go my desire for power and control. I let go my desire to change the situation. As you move from welcoming to letting go. Or we can use the words of welcoming attributed to Father Thomas Keating. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I welcome everything that comes to me today because I know it's for my healing. I welcome all my thoughts, feelings, emotions, persons, situations, and conditions. I let go of my desire for power and control. I let go of my desire for affection, esteem, approval, and pleasure. I let go of my desire for survival and security. I let go of my desire to change any situation, condition, person, or myself. I open to the love and presence of God and God's action within. We know that based on neuroscience, that if we hold this experience of calm, welcome, calm, letting go, as it begins to replace the upsetness that we began with, even 30 seconds is long enough for the brain to begin to record a new response to that situation or that experience. that originally was associated with an upset experience, an upset response. Now, in all of the teachings on welcoming practice that I'm familiar with, this is where we end. But in my personal life, I've discovered something that seems to really make a difference for me in understanding the entire situation and how I got caught in it or caught myself in it, and what it is that I might really need to know. And this is an adaptation of a Lectio Divina practice that you might be familiar with. It's called the What Lords. So after focusing, welcoming, and letting go, when you have started to return to your calm, when you have started to achieve a calmness about the whole situation, I often spend a few minutes more with the What Lords, and sometimes I journal them. So these three are: what, Lord, are you saying to my heart? What, Lord, is my heart responding to you? And what, Lord, would you have my heart remember? So from here, let's go into our silence. Sister Deborah, would you time for us?
Yes, I'm happy to.
And we can have a time for discussing after we complete our silence. So this is a little saying from Richard Wagamese, an Ojibwe poet. I am my silence. I am not the busyness of my thoughts or the daily rhythm of my actions. I am not the stuff that constitutes my world. I am not my talk. I am not my actions. I am my silence. Thank you, Sister Deborah. Thank you, everybody. We have a few minutes now for any discussion or questions or Dana, are you raising your hand? Can you unmute yourself? You're muted. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
I didn't have a question. I was just settling myself. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, oh, Kathy, yes? You have to unmute
Yes.
yourself.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for this teaching this morning. It was exactly what I needed to hear today.
Oh, wonderful.
It's amazing how that happens.
Right, yeah.
Can you repeat the name of the book that has that chart that you showed us? Or could we get a a copy of that?
You know, here is the book. It's Cynthia Bourgeau's book on centering prayer and inner awakening. And the original chart is on page 135 or 136. But here's the original chart. And what I did was just take this chart and put it in a PowerPoint. So, Sister Deborah, I don't know if we can, I mean, I'm happy to email it to you if we can have access to do that. So
Yes, if you send it to me, Catherine, I can forward it on to Kathy and whoever else might want it.
okay, you know, if I did,
Okay.
I could send also Thomas Keating's welcoming practice.
Right.
That
And
would be
if-
very helpful.
Right, and if you like the What Lords, I probably have all of that squirreled away on my computer somewhere.
That's great.
That would be wonderful. I have not studied about this welcoming prayer, so it was really wonderful. I really appreciate it today.
Well, I'm happy that it coincided with
Right. Ladina, I saw your message, so yes.
there's somebody in the chat. Is that?
Yes.
Oh yes. Okay. Lots of people wanting to. Yeah, we love our information, don't we? So are there any other questions, or are you familiar with Rumi's poem, The Guest House?
Yes.
This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So,
Catherine, that really, really works well with the rest of your teaching. I'm glad you added it.
yes, well,
It really sums up kind of what happened, you know?
mhm. Yes, it was originally meant to go in the text, but I got anxious about time.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad you
And then-
glad you had time to share it.
yeah, we have time, so.
Because I've read the poem any number of times and experienced it in different places, but it's just super appropriate for this particular teaching, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I kept, for a long time, it was my bathroom mirror poem. To remind me every day to be grateful for whatever comes. So,
This was a very freeing experience
mhm.
for
That's
me.
good.
For me.
We imprison ourselves, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. We do. That's it.
Yeah. So other questions or comments? Well, Sister Deborah, shall we close a little bit early today then? And thank you everyone for coming. And I really look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you.
We'll be we'll be back to our 30-minute program, and then for our April, second Tuesday in April, our mornings with sacred prayer, we have Annabelle Tuck will be presenting. Oh, Randy, did you have your hand up? No? Yes? Yes?
No, I was just giving you some applause.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Well, you can tell that that's a new experience because I didn't even recognize the little icon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so,
Thank you so much.
right.
And,
Well, Sister Deborah, we can just send everything to everyone and then they can do
That-
what they wish.
That's great and so generous of you, Catherine. Thank you again for your time, your preparation, your thoughtfulness. I was especially struck. I had not heard the three what questions as part of a practice. That was the first time, and that's also so helpful. So thank you. I found that
Right. Well,
particularly helpful.
I sort of added it myself because of my need for it. The three whats came from a person who's been very active in servant leadership at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Conway, Mary Helen Hedges. And she presented that to us years ago as a form of Lectio Divina to use with scripture reading, but it seemed to work really well with the welcoming prayer. So,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you all very much, and we'll
See you next time.
See you
Okay.
next time. Right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Bye.